Imagine a book buried in the sands of time that holds secrets too dangerous to be spoken. A book so controversial that it was stripped from sacred texts, whispered about in secrecy, and declared forbidden. This is the story of the Book of Maccabees, a text that threatened the powerful and inspired the faithful. What was in these pages that made them so dangerous? Let's begin our journey. But before we dive in, if this is your first time here, please subscribe, like, and share this video to help spread the hidden truths of Scripture to others. Now, let's get started. The story begins in the 2nd century BCE, a time when the Jewish people found themselves caught between oppression and survival. They lived under the iron fist of the Seleucid Empire, ruled by King Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a man determined to eradicate their faith and replace it with Hellenistic culture. The Seleucid Empire was a melting pot of cultures, but its rulers demanded assimilation. For the Jewish people, this meant abandoning their sacred traditions. No more circumcision, dietary laws, or Sabbath observance. Antiochus went further, desecrating the temple in Jerusalem by installing an altar to Zeus and sacrificing pigs within its sacred walls. For Antiochus, it wasn't just about control. It was about annihilating a way of life. But he underestimated the resilience of a small but determined group, the Maccabees. The revolt began in a small village called Modian, when Seleucid officials demanded a sacrifice to Greek gods. A Jewish priest named Mattathias refused. In a dramatic act of defiance, he killed the official and fled to the mountains with his sons, rallying others to join their cause. This act of rebellion set off a chain reaction. Under the leadership of Mattathias' son, Judah Maccabee, known as the Hammer, the resistance grew into a full-scale revolt. But who were these Maccabees, and why did their story become so pivotal? The Maccabees weren't just warriors. They were symbols of unyielding faith. Judah Maccabee led guerrilla warfare campaigns against the Seleucid army, using tactics that outwitted even the most seasoned generals. Against all odds, they recaptured Jerusalem and rededicated the temple, a moment still celebrated today as Hanukkah. The Maccabees fought not just for land, but for the soul of their people. Their story was one of divine intervention, courage, and sacrifice. And it was all recorded in the Book of Maccabees. The Book of Maccabees isn't a single narrative, but a collection of texts. The most well-known are 1st Maccabees and 2nd Maccabees. 1st Maccabees provides a detailed historical account of the revolt, written with the tone of a national epic. 2nd Maccabees takes a more theological approach, focusing on miracles, martyrdom, and the eternal rewards for those who remain faithful. These texts weren't just history lessons. They were declarations of faith, meant to inspire future generations to stand firm against oppression. Despite their significance, the books of Maccabees were excluded from the Hebrew Bible. Scholars believe this decision was influenced by language barriers. Originally written in Hebrew, most surviving copies were in Greek, a language seen as foreign and even profane by some Jewish leaders. Political controversy. The Maccabees' descendants, the Hasmoneans, became rulers of Judea. Their reign was marked by corruption and infighting, tarnishing the family's legacy. Theological concerns. The emphasis on martyrdom and resurrection in 2nd Maccabees introduced ideas that some Jewish scholars found incompatible with traditional teachings. While the Jewish canon moved away from these texts, another faith tradition was about to embrace them. For early Christians, the books of Maccabees held a special significance. They saw parallels between the martyrs of the Maccabean era and the early Christian martyrs who died for their faith. These texts were included in the Septuagint, the Greek translation of Hebrew scriptures, and became part of the Christian Old Testament in the Catholic and Orthodox traditions. But not everyone agreed. During the Protestant Reformation, these books were labeled as Apocrypha, valuable but not divinely inspired. The Protestant rejection of the books of Maccabees was driven by both theological and political factors. The texts supported practices like prayers for the dead, which aligned with Catholic teachings but conflicted with Protestant beliefs. And so, the books of Maccabees were relegated to the margins of history, banned in some traditions, cherished in others. But why were these texts so threatening? The Book of Maccabees carries a powerful message that faith can overcome the mightiest empires, and that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things when they believe in something greater than themselves. These ideas have always been dangerous to those in power. What secrets lie within these forbidden pages? What lessons were deemed too powerful for the common man? We're about to uncover the miracles, mysteries, and enduring legacy of the Book of Maccabees. A rebellion fueled by faith. Miracles that defied logic. Martyrs who stared death in the face and whispered prayers to the heavens. These are the stories that breathe life into the forbidden pages of the Book of Maccabees. We are about to delve deeper into the secrets these texts tried to preserve. The year is 167 BC. Judah Maccabee and his ragtag army face a Seleucid force far superior in number and weaponry. By every calculation, this should have been their final stand. But history tells a different tale. The Maccabees' victories were nothing short of miraculous. Outnumbered and outmatched, they relied on their deep knowledge of the rugged terrain and an unshakable belief in divine intervention. Before every battle, Judah would pray, asking God not only for victory, but for the strength to fight for their sacred cause. And time after time, against overwhelming odds, they triumphed. One particularly astonishing victory took place at the Battle of Emmaus. The Seleucid general Gorgias led a massive army, confident of crushing the Jewish rebellion. Yet through clever tactics and an uncanny sense of timing, the Maccabees ambushed the Seleucid camp, sending their enemies into disarray. How could a small group of farmers and priests defeat a professional army? To the Maccabees, the answer was clear. Their victories were the work of God. But not all stories from the Book of Maccabees are tales of triumph. Some are deeply haunting, recounting the ultimate sacrifices made in the name of faith. Perhaps the most poignant is the story of the 7 brothers and their mother, recounted in 2nd Maccabees. These brothers were brought before the king and commanded to eat pork, a violation of Jewish law. One by one, they refused, choosing death over disobedience. The first brother was tortured and killed, his screams echoing through the hall. The second met the same fate, unwavering in his resolve. Their mother, though heartbroken, encouraged her sons to stand firm. She reminded them that their sacrifice was not in vain, that they would be rewarded in the world to come. By the time the 7th brother stood before the king, his defiance had become a declaration. "Youngest brother, you may kill us, but the King of Heaven will raise us up to eternal life." This chilling account of martyrdom became a cornerstone of the Maccabean legacy. It wasn't just about fighting for their land. It was about preserving their covenant with God at any cost. The Book of Maccabees also delves into the mysteries of divine intervention. One of the most striking examples is the cleansing and rededication of the temple after its desecration by Antiochus IV. When the Maccabees reclaimed Jerusalem, they found the temple in ruins, its sacred objects defiled. As they began the process of purification, they discovered a single flask of oil, enough to keep the menorah burning for just one day. The tradition holds that this oil miraculously burned for 8 days, long enough to prepare a new supply. This event became the basis for the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. To some, it was a miracle. To others, a powerful symbol of resilience and divine favor. But the mysteries didn't end there. Second Maccabees recounts visions and dreams that guided the faithful. One such account describes a vision of the prophet Jeremiah, who appeared to Judah Maccabee holding a golden sword. Jeremiah's message was clear. The sword was a symbol of divine support, a promise that Judah's fight was righteous and blessed by God. These visions reinforced the Maccabees' belief that their cause was not just political, but deeply spiritual. But not everyone embraced the teachings of the Book of Maccabees. Its emphasis on resurrection, martyrdom, and prayers for the dead sparked intense debate. The idea of resurrection, prominently featured in the martyrdom stories, was revolutionary. It suggested a hope beyond death, a belief that the faithful would be vindicated in the afterlife. This concept would later influence Christian theology, but for some Jewish scholars, it was a step too far, a departure from traditional teachings. The controversy surrounding the Book of Maccabees wasn't just theological. As the Hasmonean dynasty, descendants of the Maccabees, grew increasingly corrupt, their once heroic legacy became tarnished. The Hasmoneans, once seen as liberators, became autocrats. Their moral decline cast a shadow over the texts that celebrated their ancestors' heroism. As a result, the Book of Maccabees was excluded from the Jewish canon. Yet it found a home in the Christian tradition, included in the Septuagint and later embraced by Catholic and Orthodox churches. Why were these stories so polarizing? Perhaps it's because they dared to challenge the status quo. They celebrated the power of faith, the courage to resist tyranny, and the hope of a world beyond this one. The Book of Maccabees reminds us that history is never just about events. It's about the values and beliefs that shape those events. Its forbidden pages continue to inspire and provoke, even centuries after they were written. But the story doesn't end here. We are about to uncover how the Book of Maccabees influenced generations, shaping both faith and politics in ways you never imagined. Join us as we bring this forbidden knowledge into the light. For centuries, the Book of Maccabees has been locked away from many eyes, labeled as Apocrypha, revered by some and dismissed by others. But its legacy is far from forgotten. The story of the Maccabees is not merely a tale of war. It is the narrative of a people struggling to preserve their identity against overwhelming odds. Judah's rallying cry was simple: faith over fear, conviction over compromise. In every generation, there comes a moment when standing firm is the only choice. For the Maccabees, that moment was now. The resistance wasn't just about freedom, but about survival. The survival of a culture, a belief system, and a connection to the divine. This struggle resonates even today, as communities worldwide face challenges to their beliefs and ways of life. The Book of Maccabees chronicles extraordinary events that defy explanation. From the victory of vastly outnumbered Jewish rebels to the miraculous rededication of the temple, the text brims with moments of divine intervention. Perhaps the most famous miracle is the story of the oil. How one day's supply lasted for 8 days, symbolizing hope in the face of despair. But beyond the miracles lies a deeper message, that perseverance itself can be miraculous. The miracle of the oil is a reminder that faith, no matter how fragile, can sustain us in our darkest hours. The exclusion of the Book of Maccabees from certain biblical canons wasn't merely a matter of theology or politics. It was about control. The text's message of defiance and divine justice threatened those who sought to maintain power through oppression or assimilation. The Book of Maccabees asks its readers to question authority, to resist conformity, and to hold on to their beliefs at all costs. These are not ideas that rulers, whether ancient kings or later religious leaders, found comfortable. The banning of the text raises questions. Who gets to decide what is sacred? And what truths have we lost because they were deemed too disruptive? The Maccabean martyrs are among the most poignant figures in the text. Their stories of sacrifice, such as a mother and her 7 sons choosing death over abandoning their faith, illustrate the ultimate cost of conviction. These stories are haunting, but also inspiring. They remind us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it for something greater. Such tales have inspired countless movements for freedom and justice, proving that the legacy of the Maccabees lives on in unexpected ways. While banned in some traditions, the Book of Maccabees has found a resurgence in modern scholarship and faith communities. Its lessons on resilience, faith, and the fight against tyranny are more relevant than ever. The text has become a symbol, a reminder that forbidden knowledge often holds the key to understanding who we are and what we believe. Today, the story of the Maccabees is studied not just for its historical value, but for its timeless message of hope and resistance. The Book of Maccabees challenges us to ask difficult questions. What are we willing to stand for? How far will we go to protect our beliefs? And what is the cost of forgetting our history? The Maccabees fought for their faith and their people, but their struggle speaks to anyone who has ever faced persecution or sought justice. The text's message is universal, that even in the face of insurmountable odds, the human spirit can prevail. Though banned, the Book of Maccabees has endured, finding its way into hearts and minds across the world. Its lessons continue to inspire those who dare to seek truth, no matter the cost. Knowledge may be forbidden, but it cannot be erased. The story of the Maccabees reminds us that truth is a light no darkness can extinguish. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into forbidden knowledge, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Have thoughts or questions? Drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. So, keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep growing in your faith journey. Until next time, God bless you.